Welcome again, Dr. Naveen here from UPSC Medico. So in this video, we'll try to analyze the UPSC Medical Science optional exam, the final paper, that is 2020 paper 2. So in this paper 2, this video is about section A, which contains following subjects, that is general medicine, which includes psychiatry too, and again medical imaging and dermatology. Then we also have pediatrics in it. So let's try to analyze this paper. The first question is from the psychiatry part, the schizophrenia. They're asking classification of this disease and what are the catatonic symptoms which you see in schizophrenia. They're asking you to describe each of this feature in one line. And again, it's a repeat. In 1999, they asked about schizophrenia, and in 2002, they're asking about the causes, clinical subtypes, again the same one, differential diagnosis, and the management too. And question number 1B, this is from again the coagulation disorders syllabus. So in this, we did cover some platelet disorders, and this question of hemophilia is there in our grand test. Okay. They're asking you the management of hemarthrosis of the right knee in a patient with hemophilia. It's a bit specific question. Usually we don't expect questions of this sort. Again, this time even clinical questions from paper 2. Yes, most like 80% of the paper is a no. 80% of any question is like you can answer it. There is a touch of depth, like 10 to 20%. They're being more specific and questions are asked more in depth. Okay, so what do you mean by hemorrhagic disorders? They're asking you to classify them. In 2002, the same question, and again in 2015, they asked a question on hemophilia, recurrent joint swelling, elbows, ankles, and there is a maternal uncle who is having the similar. Just they're indicating that hemophilia is an X-linked disease. So they're asking you nature of disease, likely diagnosis, investigations, management, and advice to his mother. Okay, so this is again covered in our grand test and also in notes. Question number 1C is 18-month-old. Very important, this one. Weight 7 kgs. History of diarrhea, vomiting, and also there is rapid breathing and dehydration, all indicating severe diarrhea. That is, you have to write plan C of the diarrhea management as per the management protocol, and also make a note on management of the malnutrition which is seen in this case. So this is again a holistic approach to IMNCI guidelines. Okay, IMNCI, you know how to manage each and every symptom, which was discussed in detail in our pediatric videos. And I won't say it's a repeat. It's a compulsory question in paper 2, section A. Every year you will see this question. 2010, okay, 2013, in 2018 they asked the same question. Okay, in 2019, the two questions which are almost similar to this. Okay, they're asked in clinical scenario, but whole point is you have to look whether there is a malnutrition in this, and you have to mention the steps of management of malnutrition. You have to look for dehydration, and you have to, based on the plan, whether it's A, B, C, or based on the clinical presentation, you have to manage it. And you have to mention how do you assess status of dehydration in a case of diarrhea. This is very important. And you can see all the clinical scenarios, but the final essence is you have to know the IMNCI protocol for management of diarrhea. Now again, this is pneumonia, cough, respiratory distress, and wheeze. Okay, so pneumonia was discussed in detail, and it's not a new question. Okay, they're asking what causes of pneumonia and how do you manage a case of pneumonia here. And it's a 12-month-old. So always ARI, acute respiratory insufficiency protocol, should be followed in these cases. Okay, and based on that you can manage this case. And again, you have to go to the depth, like what are the viral causes of pneumonia, what are the bacterial causes of pneumonia. In the management, you have to write conservative steps like the symptomatic management. You also need to write about the choice of antibiotic and all. In 2009, there was similar question of fever, cough, and breathlessness of 10 months of age. Okay, like what is the diagnosis, investigation, management. To 2010, they're asking about ARI and pneumonia. How do you classify it? ARI infections. And in 2013 also, based on the IMNCI guidelines, fever respiratory rate they have mentioned, so ARI protocol again. And the causes of community acquired pneumonia was asked in 2014, and in 2016 a clear picture of tachypnea, wheeze and hyperinflated chest is given. You have to classify illness based on ARI protocol, and you have to outline the principles again, even in 2018, 2019. So diarrhea is a dictum, ARI infections is a dictum, which were clearly discussed in our video course. Question number 1 parents of a 7-year-old girl noticed milky white macules on milky white, that is hypopigmented patches, right? Hypopigmented patches from our dermatology. What is that there in the syllabus? It's vitiligo. Simple. It's as simple as that. So they're asking vitiligo. Why they're giving mother had similar history, autoimmune thyroiditis. This vitiligo is autoimmune in origin. So you might see other autoimmune disorders like type 1 diabetes can be seen in these cases, and you can see again autoimmune thyroiditis condition in these cases. So when autoimmune disorders are associated with vitiligo, so that's the reason one of the questions is enumerate the disorders which are associated with this condition. How do you classify this disorder? You need to understand difference between vitiligo, which is segmental, and non-segmental vitiligo they're asking. And again, what is the diagnosis? It's vitiligo. What is the differential diagnosis of this clinical entity? We did discuss in our videos, like differential diagnosis of hypopigmented patches. Leprosy can be a possibility. There are other disorders in which diseases in which you see hypopigmented patches. Just go through it. And again, when it comes to dermatology for this UPSC exam point of view, derma is a high yield. Okay, it's a scoring subject, very important short subject which is highly scoring. But again, I personally feel these questions from derma are a bit not tricky. I say they're asked in like not in MBBS level, like post MBBS or MD or MS level. I don't know why they do that. Maybe the UPSC board contains a serious examiner who is a dermatologist and who has passion towards derma or all. I don't know. The rest all the subjects, they are like in the MBBS theory exam level, but derma they're going into more depth. Okay, and more weightage is being given to the dermatology. I don't know the specific reason for that again, but derma either considering it as a major subject equal to general medicine and also the pediatrics. So please focus on the limited syllabus which is given in from the part of dermatology, and this is the dictum are they ask questions from vitiligo, they ask questions from lichen planus, they ask a mandatory question from psoriasis, and there are questions, mandatory questions from dermatitis, almost SS. So 50 marks, almost 50 marks are asked from the derma. So this is a very important subject, short subject, and limited syllabus is there. If you work on them, you can get good marks. Never ever ignore dermatology. Okay, so similar hypopigmented lesion DD was asked in 2002. Etiopathogenesis was asked in 2009, where you can classify the disease, etiology, and also disorders which are associated with vitiligo. See again, it's a direct repeat, man. It's a repeat. Many are repeats. So focus on previous year questions, and always for any competitive exam, previous year question centric preparation is a must, and that is what we do with our video course. And in 2015 almost a clinical scenario, so always there was this myth or panic around students about more and more clinical, more. See, question might be twisted in a clinical way, but if you are well prepared, the topic is same. You only need to represent the answer which was given in the notes. Okay, question might be asked in n number of ways, but answer is only one. Okay, so now again, in 25-year-old unmarried female has this depigmented macules on different body parts. They're asking differential diagnosis, investigation, most common conditions manifesting with the DD they're asking. Various theories proposed to explain the pathogenesis of vitiligo. This is 2018 question. And how do you assess the severity of the vitiligo, and treatment of various grades of the disease. So all these are discussed in our video course. Now, what are the causes? So we are done with question number 1. Question is derma, PEDS again, coagulation disorder part of medicine, and psychiatry. Now, question number 2, PEDS, jaundice, algorithm for its workup. How do you manage its specific? See, overall, the management of jaundice is like can be a regular symptomatic follow-up, or can be phototherapy based on the levels, or can be exchange transfusion. Now they went into depth of management. Like they're giving you a specific scenario of age, weight. Based on that, there are tables available in OPGAI and also in Nelson's textbook. You have to choose whether this patient requires phototherapy or exchange transfusion. And I think this condition requires exchange transfusion, so that's the reason they are asking about the indications of exchange transfusion and outline the procedure. But phototherapy should always be done in all these cases. Then if it doesn't come down, then you have to go for exchange transfusion. See, again, what is more important here is you have to know the indication and procedure of phototherapy which was discussed. Exchange transfusion was not covered because we thought that examiner might not go into such a depth, but again that will be covered in our upcoming videos. Okay, I'll give you the indications and also the procedure. Now, similar questions in 2002, 66 and 2007. Okay, in 2002 they're asking about the causes of jaundice, investigations and management of hemolytic jaundice in newborn. That is Rh negative pregnancy. And what will be the consequences in an Rh negative mother if she, again the same thing. And newborn comes with deep jaundice at 48 hours. And what are the history points which you take? What are the investigations you advise? How will you treat if the level is 18 milligram per deciliter? Okay, so this is very important. Next is, what are the various causes of pleural effusion? This is from medicine, respiratory system. Pleural effusion was discussed along with the Light's criteria. But there is a touch of new concept to it. What is parapneumonic effusion? We all know that pleural effusion can be a manifestation of pneumonia which was not treated properly. The patient will develop parapneumonic effusion. And that is simple. But again, the complex part here is, what are the indications of chest tube drainage in a case of a parapneumonic effusion? So you have to write the indications here. Again, empyema is related to pleural effusion. Management was asked in 2012, and in 2015, similar acute sudden breathlessness. Okay, how will differential diagnosis in patient? It's a kind of pneumonia question which is later on converting into parapneumonic effusion. Question number 2C, a 30-year-old male with erythematous plaques, silvery white scales present on the knees and elbows, and the Grattage test. Grattage test is positive in psoriasis. Okay, there are many other signs which are positive in psoriasis. Okay, you need to be very careful because psoriasis you know, but how to diagnose it, what is Grattage test, are very important here. Okay, Grattage test is done with the help of a glass slide, and when you rub it on the lesion, you will see silvery scales coming out like a powdery puff. This is characteristic of psoriasis. Again, silvery white scales are characteristic of psoriasis, and only once a topic which is given in the syllabus, which is the scaling disorder, is psoriasis again. But again, you need to know the differential diagnosis of scaling disorder and what are the treatment options. They are asking you to look at mild, moderate or severe presentations, and based on that you have to write it. And also DM ARDS. Nowadays, what are all the disease modifying drugs which are used in this condition? You have to mention that. Psoriasis is not a new stuff again. Clinical features and management was asked in 2005. Kobness phenomenon, what are the disorders in which you see, is asked again. Type of psoriatic arthropathy, systemic or a systemic manifestation of psoriasis involving joints, is asked in 2010. Histopathology was asked in 2011. Clinical forms of psoriasis, clinical pattern of joint involvement, comorbidities, histopathology in 2019. It's like the direct repeat in an indirect manner. So always dermatology should be dealt thoroughly. It has time and time again, each year more and more questions are getting asked from dermatology in an indirect way, in a clinical way, in more depth, and more weightage is given to this part of the syllabus. So question number 2C is one question from Dharma, one question from medicine, and one question from the pediatrics part. Now question number 3. So it's again, question looks simple. It's dermatitis. Okay, it's a dermatitis or an eczema. But within that, in the recent past, in the last 5 to 10 years, they are asking whether it's a allergic contact dermatitis or is it a photodermatitis. One question was asked from photodermatitis. Various forms of dermatitis they are asking. Okay, or allergic contact irritant dermatitis. Okay, that is atopic dermatitis, which was this question is atopic, from atopic dermatitis. Okay, so various types of dermatitis, various kind of clinical scenarios have been asked in the past. With regards to eczema or dermatitis topic, you need to know how to classify eczema. And similar question about allergic contact and atopic dermatitis were asked in 2012. And now a 4-month-old infant presented with severe itching disturbing her sleep. Its characteristic presentation is itching, and on examination there is redness, papules and excoriations on the cheeks. Okay, and family history, there is history of asthma in mother since childhood. All are pointing to atopy, that is atopic dermatitis. And again, what is most likely diagnosis? See, this question you can just start mentioning atopic dermatitis based on the history, or from the pediatrics OP guide there was this criteria called Hanifin and Rajkar's criteria. Okay, Hanifin and Rajkar's criteria of atopic dermatitis. There are major features in this and also minor features in this. There should be more than 3 major features and also more than 3 minor features, more than or equal to 3 minor features that should be present. From the major features, you should have pruritus. Okay, and you should have characteristic involvement, that is facial involvement in children is characteristic, that is what given as cheeks. There is pruritus again, so 2 are satisfied. Number 3 is family history of atopic, it was given. And the 4th, which can also be present, is it should be chronic or relapsing one dermatitis. As it is a first time presentation, that was not mentioned here. So more than 3 should be present, and minor ones can be present, like various features of facial pallor, food intolerance, hand dermatitis, ichthyosis, elevated levels of IgE. So I'll be giving them in the 2020 handout notes for all the video course subscribers. All the answers will be given, don't worry. But again, based on the Hanifin and Rajkar's criteria of atopic dermatitis, this is dermatitis. And what is the clinical presentation in different age groups? It's like facial and extensor involvement is seen in infants, flexural lichenification is seen in adults. So I'll be giving you in that answer. And diagnostic criteria, so they're directly asking it, so I haven't read it. So again, see, so this Hanifin and Rajkar's criteria, based on that from OP guide, they gave this question. And first, second and third line management for this condition. So you need to know the management at first level, second level and third level. So this is question from dermatology again. Enumerate the causes of cyanotic congenital heart disease and ages of their presentation. See this, what are all the causes of cyanotic congenital heart disease? What are the causes of it, and various cyanotic congenital heart disease. They are asking age of their presentation. How will you manage a 6-week infant presenting with cyanosis and congestive heart failure? Okay, this is again a rare question, because when I say cyanotic congenital heart disease, I was only teaching you tetralogy of Fallot, because 1996, 2010, 2009, 2017, 2019, everywhere management of a cyanotic spell, classification of the cyanotic congenital heart diseases was asked. But again, 6-week infant presenting with cyanosis and congestive heart failure is like, I'll say, a kind of related question only, but a bit bouncer question, which we'll be discussing in our upcoming videos. Okay, but most of this 3B1, 3.3, that is 10 marks, can easily be answered from our videos and notes. And again, this will be covered in the future. Okay, and you can see, like, even in 2019 also, the clinical scenario of TO of tetralogy of Fallot is given. They asked about how will you manage it. Even the surgical management was also asked here. 3C, 1. Enumerate the commonly encountered serological pattern. Nice table is given in the notes. Just go through it. And also, what is the role of tenofovir in the treatment? So, chronic hepatitis B management, chronic hepatitis C management was discussed in detail in the viral hepatitis part of general medicine. Similar question was asked in 2015, investigations on management of hepatitis B. Now, question number 3 done. One question from medicine, one question from pediatrics, and one question from dermatology again. So, I think they're giving ample weightage to the dermatology now. No. Question number 4 is from infectious diseases part of general medicine, that is dog bite management. What do you do? What are the guidelines? What happens if rabies is seen in human? And what is the IM and I intradermal regimens of anti-rabies vaccine as per national guidelines? Okay, this is very important. But what is a bit of twisty question here is, what are the recommended post-exposure prophylaxis in different categories? It's okay, fine. There was like one question which I think I missed it. Post-exposure prophylaxis in the management. There are some special conditions, like they can be asked in the future. Like, how do you manage this dog bite in immunocompromised individual? So, one special condition, I'm recording a video on this. Other special condition is, if patient is on chemoprophylaxis with chloroquine, is there any change in guidelines of management of dog bite? So, patient undergoing chloroquine, because both are seen in endemic regions, tropical regions. Any traveler or visitor coming here is prone for malaria, so he'll be taking chloroquine. He's also prone for unprovoked dog bite, so he might also need post-exposure prophylaxis. In such scenario, what is the special precautions that are to be taken while vaccinating? I'll be discussing that in a separate video. But overall, rabies guidelines of management were discussed clearly in our medicine part. And the same question, 96, 98, 2000, 2007, 2010, 2015, they have been asking about the dog bite management. Now, an elderly female, see this, shiny violet polygonal flat topped pacule. This is lichen planus. So, what are the environmental conditions associated with? What are the variants of lichen planus, and what is the histopathology? Very important. In 2013 and 17 also, they asked the same question. So, they are lichen planus, dermatitis, atopic dermatitis, lichen planus, psoriasis, and also vitiligo. 4 questions, almost amounting to 90 marks, right? 70 to 90 marks. Finally, what are the causes of under-5 mortality? What are the vaccines which prevent CNS infections in children and their schedule? And what are the meningococcal vaccine actually they're asking about? And what are the adverse events and contraindications of DPT? Even it includes DPT also, because tetanus is like kind of CNS infection again. They're asking about adverse events and contraindications of DPT. This is from vaccination or immunization part of pediatrics, along with a touch of preventive pediatrics to it. So, under 5 mortality, neonatal mortality, infant mortality, maternal mortality, these kind of mortality related questions, the causes related to it, the latest causes are very important. And similarly, post neonatal mortality question was asked, infant mortality rate was asked. Okay, neonatal mortality, what are the efforts to be taken? And from vaccination point of view, so many questions in the past about national immunization schedule, and these days they are going a bit specific. What are the vaccines which can prevent acute respiratory infections in children? That is, they are focusing more on pneumococcal vaccine. Here, when they say CNS, they are focusing on meningococcal vaccine, Japanese encephalitis vaccine, and also the DPT vaccine and their schedule here. Okay, so though question looks indirect, you need to be aware of the common vaccines, their side effects, contraindications, their dosage, route of administration of all the vaccines which are used in national immunization schedule. So this will conclude our discussion on paper 2 section A, part of UPSC 2020 medical science paper.